speaker for today, Reverend Kelly Isola. And she is going to give us the third part of her trilogy, which is Seeing is Loving. And I think by now most of us have become very familiar with this very incredibly intelligent woman. So I'm not going to go into detail about her bio. Instead, what I would like to do is just take a second to tell you about the most valuable moment for me when listening to her talks over the last 3 weeks. And it occurred last week. It came to me when she was responding to questions from the floor. You may recall, of course, all the events that have been occurring, and how could we not know about the events that have been occurring in downtown Ottawa with the truckers' convoy. And last week, some people were sharing some very different experiences. They were talking about entering Ottawa. Some of them were saying that it was a peaceful protest, it was peaceful, it was wonderful. Others were saying, no, it was violence, and there was all kinds of horrible stuff going on. And Reverend Kelly replied, yes. Some people see peace, love, kindness, and others see chaos, hatred, cruelty. And at that moment, or words to that effect, she didn't exactly probably use those words, but anyway, something like that, okay? We'll just say she said something like that, okay. And somebody in the chat said, well, people see exactly what they want to see. And I said, aha, that's it, okay? That is absolutely true. And so I decided I would enter the chat, and I said, exactly right. And she remembers that moment because she saw it, and she responded this to me. She said, yeah, some people see what they want to see, and some people don't see what they want to see. You know, that was a very, very eye-opening moment for me, Reverend Kelly, because at that moment I realized, hey, gee whiz, I was just being as self-righteous really at that moment as I thought everyone else was being. And I was being just as self-righteous. And I thought to myself, no, there probably really isn't very many absolute rights or absolute wrongs in this world. In fact, the only one that we can really say for sure is with an absolute right is that God lives in each and every one of us. And I'm not going to say any more before I say something I probably shouldn't. So I'm just going to pass this now over to Reverend Kelly. And I am really excited to hear what you have to say today, Reverend Kelly. So welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. And thank you very much for that last piece of what you heard. For me, I really enjoy that because I don't serve one community. I really never have any idea, like, I shouldn't say never have any idea. Largely, I don't know where what I say or what I teach, like where it goes, or because often we sit with it, right? Like you did. You kind of sit with it. Maybe in the moment something comes up and then you kind of chew on it, and, you know, and things just pop and, you know, thoughts emerge, and hopefully thoughts are challenged, right? You know, we have this this thing in, I remember the point that you were talking about was that we find evidence for whatever we want to believe. We'll go find evidence for it. We just do. It's what the brain does. The brain wants to fill in the blanks, right? The brain wants to compartmentalize. And when it doesn't know something, it goes looking for things to fill in. And it goes looking for things that it's comfortable with. It goes looking for things that it's familiar with. And it fills the holes in. And my invitation, that I think in part what Lynn was alluding to, is what I had said is, now go find the things that are not that. Right? Go find the things, like we have this, because we're so addicted to not having tension, to not having discomfort, to, this right to comfort, and everything has to be peace, and this calm. And that's not real. That's not life. Birth is, if you've ever had a child or watched a birth, it's messy, it's painful, and it's, that's just the very nature of life. There are times that are not, the calm and quiet. So for us to be consistently trying to get there is really, I find it very futile. I don't, and I was really, and God bless you, Lynn. I love that way, opening up, like, I haven't done this, and, I'm gotten too old, and I'm not, these things, they're all those, we carry lots of those messages. And when you said about, am I going to do this right? Am I not, all those, the judgments that we carry inside. And I almost actually put it in the chat, and I thought, no, it's too distracting. But in my mind, and this is my Italian New Yorker, goes, you know what, Lynn, we don't really care if you do it right. There isn't a right. We don't care as much as we think we do, right? When we get worried, or is this right, or the right words, or the right order, or, all of this, toxic thinking, that for the most part, everybody sitting in front of me really doesn't care as much as I may think they do, which doesn't mean they don't care about you or care about me. It just means, yeah, I kind of have to, like, get over myself, right? And just go, just kind of, because what happens is, and this is part of this, these 3 weeks together, being in paradox, the polarity thinking, being in these opposites that are interdependent, that's a perfect example of living in one. So it gets to be the downside of the, there's things, something that we value is having an order, right? We have an order, so we know kind of, this structure, like a map, right? I know where I'm going, what's coming next, and where my piece is. And then its interdependent pair is organic, right? And being flexible, so that when moments pop up, like, yeah, I don't have any, like, I lost my place, the dog just stole my piece of paper and ran into the other room, so I'm still on Zoom, I got to make it up. I have the capacity to be flexible. So they're both true, right? We need them both, but they're kind of opposite. They bump up against each other. And when we're not familiar, so if you have a natural preference to this structure and order, to do the flexible thing is a little more challenging. Like, oh, and then that's when the shadow kicks in and goes, I got to get it right, and the whole goes on. And so what happens is so going back to our first week together, seeing is relieving. And by the way, thank you for the song. Great little choir. If you go to YouTube and you look for One Voice, it's a wonderful choir. They've been doing this children's choir for years and years, but you can find all kinds of great stuff on YouTube of theirs. So thank you for the song. So seeing is relieving, which was try anything, meaning, and seeing is relieving, meaning when I can see the differences, right? Like what we just witnessed this morning, if I'm, Lynn, when I can look at it and see that, oh, okay, this is what's really more comfortable with a natural preference, and I need to, how do I engage being organic and flexible, right? When I can see that there's both going on, whew, right? There's this breath that kind of happens when almost all conflict is really, conflicting truths, conflicting values, that it's not an either or. It's not like, should I have pizza or Chinese food for dinner? It's not an either or thing. It's more often than not, our differences, most all the time, I can't say all the time, but most all the time, they really are at the level of these values. They're at the level of, we're in either or thinking, and where we need to be is in both and. How do I engage both? And the minute that I can realize that, then there's a sense of relief, right? We're like, oh, okay, there's a bigger picture here. I got to see beyond. And the example I used the first week was a bully, right? Seeing beyond the bullying behavior, that there's more to this person. And then last week, kind of once you have the relief, then then we move into seeing is changing. Okay, so now I can see this. There's this relief. I know that, seeing beyond the behavior, whatever the behavior is, whether it's my own or someone else's. Um, and the way that you change someone is to see them differently, right? Not wait for them to be different, but for me to see them different. It doesn't change the specific events, maybe, or the facts of something, but we see them differently. We're able to see beyond, the wound to the whole world, and that holds true for us as well. And then there's that change that, oh, okay, and we're still in the relief part of it, right? And how do I embody the kind of the best, and I was using the example of justice and mercy, right? When I think that someone's done me wrong, I want some justice, and justice means well-being, right? I believe we really need to alter how we think about the word justice. It's not about punishment, it's not about being punitive, it's that we're accountable, right? And to think that I'm not accountable for my behavior and my words and stuff is a little arrogant, frankly, because I am. I don't know who's going to hold me accountable. Hopefully, I am holding myself accountable. But so justice is a responsibility for me and for all, right? It's a social thing. That's what the word social justice comes from, communal well-being. And then there's mercy, and mercy is not an excuse, but okay, I can see beyond. There's a whole world beyond the behavior that I'm challenged with, my own or someone else's. Right? It doesn't go away. And can I see more? Right? And that's the changing piece. Today, then it's the kind of the third part, that seeing is loving. So I'm going to say a few things about love that a few of you might be challenged by, which if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be doing my job. I tell any student that steps into a class with me that if in the course of the class I don't challenge your faith at least once, I'm not doing my job, because that is what I do. It doesn't help to just reinforce, what's there. All great spiritual leaders from any spiritual tradition, part of what they do is challenge the fixed ideas. Doesn't mean you have to give them up, but taking a look at them. So when I talk about seeing is loving, I kind of have to go into, well, what exactly do I mean, right? Seeing is loving. So in the first one, seeing is relieving. I was using that song, kind of pulled it apart. So try anything. Then seeing is changing, and I said try everything. And if you go back to the song, if you go search for the lyrics for try anything, you'll find in there those repeated. So try anything, try everything, because once I can the relief, and then I can see bigger, and now you've changed because I'm, seeing. I'm augmenting my view of you, right? I'm adding to this view of you. And then we move into seeing is loving, and the piece of the chorus from the song is never give up. Seeing is loving, never give up. So here's where it might get a little challenging for some people. We have this principle in unity called love, that largely what I see and what I hear people, how it's taught or how it's talked about, is that love is a feeling, and it's not. Love is a principle. If we are to live principle, then things get messy. People get angry. People get upset. It can get very messy. If we are living principle, then we're going to butt up against each other. It's the very nature of it. Let me keep going. So for those of you that are already like, no, if you're feeling any tension around what I just said, breathe and don't let it go. Just hang on, because it's not a feeling. Love is not a feeling. We may feel, engaged in the principle of love. We may feel excitement. We may feel peace. We may feel calmness. We may feel things that are more comfortable. But built into the principle of love is discomfort. It can't not be. It can't not. because the minute that it's it is a principle, and the minute that we embody it and we engage it, we're going to bump up against people and ideas and things that aren't, right? And so when we practice principle, any principle, it's going to kind of upset some of think like a mobile hanging over a baby's crib. It upsets the homeostasis. It just does. And the principle of love says never give up. Just hold that, right? Just stay with that. So there's a quote I like from gentleman, his name is David Benner. He says, "Spare me perfection, give me instead the wholeness that comes from embracing the full reality of who I am, just as I am." Spare me perfection. Perfection is one of those words I threw out of my vocabulary years ago because it's such a distraction and it doesn't mean anything and there's no such thing, and it distracts us from being here and whose definition. It's sort of like oneness. Okay, somebody tell me whose definition of oneness we're using so I know how to move my pieces around the game board. And perfection is the same way. I think it can be very much a distraction in terms of I'm trying to get somewhere. And I would invite us to stop trying to get somewhere and be right where you are. That's the whole purpose of this. That's the whole purpose of our human life. That's the whole purpose of this, harnessing the differences, right? Is to be with what is in front of us. So seeing is loving because it's to see completely the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? It's to see someone completely. And it doesn't, to see the wholeness of someone, doesn't lose sight of the parts that I find annoying, right? Anyone have somebody annoying in their life? I have a couple. I can lend them to you if you need help. So seeing the wholeness of a person doesn't mean I lose sight of the parts that may challenge me. I see those parts, right? Remember, it's seeing beyond, seeing the bigger picture. And I also, in that wholeness and seeing someone's wholeness, I see the things that bring me joy, the things where I do connect, the things that are, make me want to lean into you and put my head on your shoulder, right? So to see another person completely in their wholeness. Wholeness doesn't mean only the things that are comfortable. Our joys and our sufferings are our wholeness. So to see a person in their wholeness is to love them. To see ourselves completely is that power of love. Because here's the thing, when you look at the definition of love in like Charles Fillmore's in the Revealing Word or or wherever you're reading, is love is that harmonizing power. Harmonize doesn't mean homogeneous. Okay? Harmonize does not mean homogeneous. Doesn't mean all the same. If you think about a choir, right? We just watched a choir. We heard them. Harmony, there are different notes, but they go together. Right? We're no different. So being different doesn't mean they don't go together. So our joys and our sufferings make up the wholeness of me. And those things go together. My joys sustain my sufferings. My sufferings show me places that need healing, that need, nurturing, so that they're integrated and become all of me. So it's the changing piece. And so when I'm wanting to change, it comes from my awareness of, so the love, being cared for, being nurtured, the act of loving, there's two different kinds, not two different kinds, there's two different kind of directions of that. One is being loved, right? Being loved just as we are. But then the other is about, to love the other person. So there's let me say that again. So there's the awareness of being loved, like someone caring and an act of loving me. And then there's changing the other, how do I, wanting to change the other person in order to love them. So I don't know if that's making sense. In my head, I'm like, wait, is that how I want to say that? So that's just stick with the wholeness, right? The wholeness, we're projecting ourselves, and we're also, people are projecting onto us. So there's always this, back and forth. We're always this, that harmonizing force, seeing is loving. There's always this going, moving back and forth. What needs to change so that you can love me, right? And what am I changing so I can love you? So I be in the activity of love. Again, not the feeling. Charles Fillmore in Talks on Truth has this wonderful quote about love, and I'll stick it in the chat. He says, love is the cementing element of all things. Love is the cementing element of all things. You could not have an organism without the help of the cementing power of love. Love is the magnet. You must have love. You cannot live without it. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said that in Talks on Truth. So it's a cementing element. So that's why getting to that last piece of the seeing is relieving, seeing is changing, seeing is loving. It's that, we've now sort of pushed back so far that we know there's more to this person. We know there's more to this community. We know there's more to this organization. We know there's more. And it becomes the cementing element. It becomes this magnet, right? This foundation that we're standing on. And the individual, the life form, the community, the organization just would not exist without that cementing power. Doesn't mean that we're always aware of it. But love is a fundamental particle. So let's think science for a minute. So that's what I do. I think when someone talks about, when I think about love as a principle, part of my brain goes to it's a bit of science, right? It's this fundamental particle that carries a force that you can't have too many of, right? So if you think quantum, there's no such thing as too many. And it's this fundamental particle that carries a force, can't have too many of them. And how often do I interact with that particle? How often does it interact kind of, between us, between all life? How often do I conscientiously and intentionally, oh, there's that particle, right? For me, it helps me get out of the thinking that this is a feeling, which are always fleeting. It gets me out of thinking that where's the sing kumbaya together and let's just feel that. I love that energy of connecting and when you sing kumbaya, and I poke fun at it and I call it pink frosting, and I really love that energy because it's connection energy. But underneath it is that power, that fundamental particle that is that cementing element that I don't know that we're always aware is there. Even in our most difficult challenges, even looking at the bully, right? We're all still standing on that particle. And then the question is there, if I know there's never too many of these particles, what's interacting with it? Oh, maybe I need to be interacting with it. So it's, for me, then it becomes that loving is something I have to learn. Right. And it's not just the enthusiasm of it, but it's actually a skill. And it requires generosity, and it requires imagination, and it requires having a little bit of a thick skin, right? And strength, right? And power. It's not sentimental. It's not weak. It's very powerful, which is why love often looked messy, because it is very powerful. It is drawing us to look beyond our woundedness, the bullying, right? To look beyond my wounded child, to look beyond the, what you just said that hurt me, or what you just did that hurt me. It requires me, if I engage with that particle, to stretch open and look beyond it. It's rocky, it's bumpy, and the more generous we can be toward flawed individuals, which is why I don't use the word perfection, the better chance we have of actually doing this work of love. I woke up this morning thinking about the from scripture that love is patient and love is kind, and right after that came another thought that said, I don't think always. I think nice love maybe, but sometimes love is not patient, right? I think about some things going on in my own town that, things are burning down, and that fundamental particle of love, there's no patience for that. It needs it now. Things that are burning down need it now, which doesn't mean being violent. It just, but it, you know, it needs to be present now. For example, like let's take the example of a little kid, right? How often do you hear a child, and maybe your own or a grandchild, or you've heard children go, they get upset and they'll go, oh, I hate you, um, I hate you. You get away from me. You're not my mother, things like that. When the kid is little, we kind of, for the most part, move into, yeah, we probably know that's not really true. Doesn't really hate me. We go into, they're probably tired or hungry, or got picked on at school today, or there's things that go wrong in this child's life, and we look for some sort of benevolent interpretation, right? To look beyond, so that we can see beyond the I hate you. And we do that often fairly naturally with children. And that's that fundamental particle of love that arises for us. And we go, there's probably something more beyond that behavior that says, I hate you, get away from me. We do it naturally with children. We don't really do it much with adults, right? When we're met with an adult that's challenging, using that bullying example, or you have a sense of power over, someone is, I had a bad day, go away, leave me alone, I don't want to talk about it, la, 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 la. We often can take it personally. We often, well, they know I love them, why would they not share? We come up with these reasons to separate, right? Instead of going just like the child, okay, let's go beyond what's coming at me. So I think the reason seeing is loving is because it really does require us to go beyond, not just understanding about going beyond, but actually doing it. Because when someone is, when we are presented with a person, or myself, right? When my Italian New Yorker is out and about, I'm taking my Italian New Yorker for a very public stroll. God help anybody who comes across my path. And I'm not my most noble self. And I say something maybe I regret, and it doesn't have to be anything big, but I know when I say something I regret, I feel badly, and I've put up a wall, and there's this disconnect. But keep in mind, there's two things that I'm saying, right? There's two very important things that I'm saying, and the same is true for another person. And this is where the standing on that cement of that particle. So the minute that I say or do something that you're activated by, not in a good way, I'm telling you that I can't love you right now. Like, I'm not attacked. I'm not connected to it. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the bandwidth. So the first thing I'm saying is I can't love you right now. So that's what kind of spills out to push you away. And in the same breath, I'm calling out, somebody please love me. Somebody please love me. This is where it gets hard. When I said that love can be messy, and love, the principle of love and embodying it can be messy, is because now this person that is so challenging, and the more different I think we are, right? The more I've done this othering, the more challenged I may feel of responding to their unspoken communication, somebody please love me, right? So when I can engage that, when I can see that, somebody please love me, what they're saying, and I probably said this before, I say this often in talks, when someone is hard to love them harder. When someone is hard to love them harder. That requires a lot out of me. I have to connect I have to see where are we bumping up and be able to see them and go, oh, okay, find that place where the tension is and not make the tension go away, but to see the differences, harness the power of that. Oh, this is important to them. This is important to me. And I can see that. And then I can see them differently. Now I've changed how I see them. Now I can engage with, okay, can I love them harder? Which may mean just standing there, being quiet. It may mean not having my evil twin emerge. Right? I have to acknowledge the thing that keeps me from loving someone harder. I have to acknowledge the thing that keeps me from remembering I am standing on this cement, right? This principle. And when I love someone harder, it doesn't always end with everybody being nice, but it can certainly end with leaving someone's company and I'm not angry. We may still disagree, but I'm not disagreeable. So think of a kitchen, cleaning up your kitchen. If you do clean your kitchen, maybe have somebody do it for you. When you clean, to clean your kitchen, you got to know where the dirt is, right? So you clean your kitchen and you find the things where the dirt is that needs to be removed. The same is true in our consciousness, right? It's like cleaning the kitchen. So I give myself large doses of grace. I see myself, oh, where am I stuck in what I believe and what I think? Where am I trying to find what I don't know, right? Where am I trying, like I said at the very beginning, where am I trying to look and go, oh, that is not what I believe? Where am I trying to find evidence that's the opposite of what I think should be real and true, right? And just finding those. I don't have to adopt them as my belief, and I need to see them. I need to see them. It's the fundamental particle that I stand on, right? That carries a force that there can't have too much. Can't have too much. So when I'm hard to love me harder. And ask myself, can I do that? Can I do that for myself? Can I do it for another? When I'm impatient and I'm annoying and I'm pushing you away, I'm really wanting you to pull me to you. That's the thing about I can't love you right now. Somebody please love me. Okay. Hear the little bit of tension there. Oh, I could go on and on about seeing is loving. Love, 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 love. I love talking about love. And I love talking about love because it's such a powerful principle that is not always easy to practice. And if we are willing to take it on, to do our work, to see, right, clean up the kitchen, where's the dirt? It is life-changing. It is healing. We can see the wholeness without having to agree, right? Understanding doesn't mean agreement. So let's take the seeing is loving, right? Never give up. When someone's hard to love them harder. There's no time stamp on any of this. There's not a destination to get to. So if you're comfortable, you can close your outer eyes. Or you can just lower your gaze. Take a deep breath. Breathe in deep. Breathe in deep. Come into your body. And as you breathe into your body, see if there's a space that has a little tension, that has a little disconnect. Maybe it's physical pain. Maybe there's some emotion that emerged. Maybe there's some, wait, I feel discomfort. And breathe grace and tenderness into that place. Repeat the words, be still and know. Be still and know. Breathe a little bit deeper into the body. Know that there is this place within that you turn for rest, you turn for release, and you turn for care. This is a holy place. This is your fundamental nature. I am. Here's the place where your mind becomes like a child. Pure, good, true, beautiful. This is a place where you are refreshed and restored. The place where we take moments to close the door to the outer world. A place where we notice our thoughts and allow them to just be. Not to change them. Not to judge them. Allow them to be. Where we don't fight, we don't push away, we just pause and we breathe deeply. Feeling the presence of life and love and wisdom. Being freed from every cell, being freed from every thought of tension. Being freed from every thought of joy, being freed from every feeling of grace. We feel the presence of life and love and wisdom released from every feeling of gratitude, every muscle. Be still and know. That divine life and love and wisdom is your divine nature. Divine love has already encompassed the fulfillment of your needs. Is that fundamental particle is always everywhere present. That you harness. Take a moment and bring someone to mind that you may be having a challenge with. Maybe a conflict, maybe a disagreement, big or small. And quietly or silently say, you are dear to me, I hold you in my heart. You are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. You are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. Hold that in the stillness. You are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. I see you. I see your joys. I see your sufferings. I see beyond your wounds to a whole world. I stand on the cement that is the principle of love. You are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. And so it is.